Ladies and gentlemen, lean in for a second because I want you to catch this. Success doesn't start on stage, it starts in the shadows. Success doesn't start on stage, it starts in the shadows. It starts in the places where nobody is watching, where no applause is echoing, where no likes, no shares, no recognition is feeding your ego. That's the soil where greatness is grown, because the truth is, before anyone claps for you, before anyone celebrates you, before anyone sees the finished product, you've got to become the kind of person who can stand on the stage, carry the weight of success, and stay rooted in the character that was built in the quiet. See, one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that success is a moment. They think it's that one breakthrough deal, that big contract, the viral post, the business launch, the award. But success is not a moment, it's a byproduct of a million quiet, unseen, disciplined decisions stacked on top of each other day after day after day. Success is what you build when no one is clapping. Success is forged in the private hours when your alarm goes off and your feelings tell you to hit snooze, but your purpose tells you to get up. I remember being in the season of my life where nobody knew my name, nobody cared about my potential, nobody was knocking on my door to ask for advice or inviting me to speak on stages, and I had to wrestle with the question every single day, can you keep building even when no one's watching? Because that's the real test. That's where most people quit, not because the goal was impossible, but because the validation wasn't immediate. If you can't handle silence, you can't handle success. Because the truth is, the stage doesn't build you, the stage reveals you. The money doesn't build you, the money exposes you. The title doesn't build you, the title magnifies who you already are. So if you haven't put in the work in the dark, the spotlight will only highlight your cracks. If you haven't trained your mind, your habits, your spirit, and your character in the hidden places, success will crush you before it can crown you. It's the quiet work, the early mornings, the late nights, the hard conversations with yourself, the choices to keep going when it feels like nothing is happening, that separates people who wish for success from the people who build it. And the longer you stay consistent in the shadows, the stronger your foundation will be when the light finally hits you. So the question isn't how fast can I get there? The question is how deep can I build before the world starts looking? Because when the spotlight comes, it won't make you, it will reveal you. And only what's been built in the quiet will last. The world rewards the finished product, but God honors the process. This is a truth that not many people truly understand. Society has conditioned us to want the end result. The awards, the recognition, the money, the fame, and it often leads us to overlook the immense value of the process that produces those outcomes. But here's the thing, the world will applaud you for what you achieve, but God will bless you for how you've become the person who can handle that achievement. Think about it. When you look at any successful person, when you see them standing at the top of their game, you're seeing the finished product. You're seeing the polished, well-packaged version that took years of dedication, sacrifice, and often deep, unseen work. What you don't see are the early mornings when nobody was awake but them, the lonely hours of effort when it felt like no one was watching, the setbacks and disappointments that tried to break their spirit, the doubts that they had to wrestle with every single day. These are the moments that shape the person. These are the moments that make the victory worth it. God is not interested in giving you the crown before you've learned to carry it. The process is where you're refined, where your character is tested, where your resilience is built. It's in those quiet moments of struggle that you develop the inner strength to handle the weight of your success. It's the times when you're overlooked, underestimated, or criticized that teach you the lessons you'll need to endure when the spotlight is on you. And God, in his infinite wisdom, understands this better than anyone. He doesn't just want to give you the prize. He wants to see if you're ready to carry it. The world may see the hustle, the results, the flashy displays of success, but God sees your heart, your perseverance, and the true character being developed in those moments when no one is watching. He honors the person who's willing to do the work even when the reward isn't immediate. He sees the sweat behind the smile, the struggle behind the success. And when you honor the process, when you stay faithful to the grind, the discipline, the continuous growth, you position yourself to receive the blessing, not just in the form of success, but in the form of the wisdom and the character that will sustain it. It's easy to want the quick fix, the fast track, the instant gratification that society often promotes. But real success isn't built on shortcuts. It's built on a steady, unwavering commitment to the process, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard, and even when the results aren't showing up right away. When you commit to the process, when you honor the struggle, you open yourself up to a kind of blessing that goes beyond temporary achievement. You create a foundation that's solid, deep, and unshakable. God is not in a hurry to bless you with success. He's waiting for you to develop the strength, wisdom, and patience to carry it when it comes. The process is not just about getting you to the end goal. It's about preparing you to handle what comes next. The world will reward you for what you accomplish, but God will honor the person you become in the process of achieving it. When you understand that, everything changes. You stop rushing. You stop looking for shortcuts. You embrace the journey because you know that the journey is just as important as the destination. Your private preparation determines your public performance. This is the unspoken truth that many people overlook in their pursuit of success. Too often, people believe that the results they show to the world come out of nowhere, that they are just born with talent, or that success is simply about having the right connections or being in the right place at the right time. But the truth is, it is shaped in the quiet hours, when you're alone, when nobody's watching, and when there's no one to cheer you on. It's in those moments of solitude that your true preparation takes place. Think about an athlete. The public sees them on the field, in the gym, performing under bright lights with the crowd cheering them on. But what they don't see are the early morning practices, the late nights reviewing game footage, the sweat, the sacrifices, the injuries, the grind. They don't see the hours of work put in when no one was there to praise them, when no one cared whether they succeeded or failed. They see the finished product. They see the performance. But the truth is, the performance is a direct reflection of the preparation, all of that private work that nobody saw. Without it, that athlete wouldn't be able to handle the pressure, the competition, or the responsibility that comes with being in the spotlight. This concept applies to every area of life, not just sports. The things you do when no one is watching determine how well you handle what comes when the world is watching. If you haven't developed discipline in the quiet, if you haven't built the mental toughness and emotional resilience when there's no audience, then you won't be able to sustain success when it comes. You'll be overwhelmed. You'll be unprepared for the weight of responsibility, for the scrutiny, for the pressure that comes with standing in the spotlight. In the business world, we see entrepreneurs rise to prominence, but what we often don't see are the countless failures, the long nights spent learning, the setbacks that nearly destroyed them, and the personal growth they went through in private. We don't see the relentless pursuit of knowledge, the countless hours spent studying, strategizing, and refining their skills. What we see is the product of all that work, the thriving business, the recognition, the success. But that success wasn't created overnight. It was created in the unseen moments, in the private hours of preparation that most people never talk about. The same principle applies to personal growth. Your ability to handle relationships, to lead others, to make decisions that align with your purpose is all determined in those quiet moments when you are making choices behind closed doors. Are you cultivating good habits when no one is looking? Are you choosing to grow even when it's hard and uncomfortable? Are you investing in yourself even when it seems like nobody cares? Those are the moments that determine the kind of person you become, and the person you become will dictate your performance in every area of your life. So if you want to succeed, if you want to perform at a high level, stop focusing on the accolades and the applause. Stop focusing on how you'll look when you finally get the recognition. Instead, focus on the unseen work. Focus on how you show up for yourself when no one else is around to hold you accountable. Focus on how you discipline yourself, how you manage your emotions, how you refine your character, how you learn and grow in those quiet, private moments. That is what prepares you for the success that is coming, and it is what will ensure that you can handle it when the world is finally watching. Your private preparation is what makes you ready for public performance. It's what ensures you're not just a flash in the pan, but someone who can sustain success over the long haul. Because the truth is, it's easy to shine for a moment, but it's much harder to shine consistently. That's why the real work happens in the quiet. That's where the foundation is laid, and that's where your true potential is built. When you commit to your private preparation, you're preparing yourself for greatness that lasts, a greatness that will be seen by the world, but only because it was forged in the quiet noise. Doesn't equal progress, focus equals growth. In the world we live in today, it's easy to get caught up in the noise. We're surrounded by distractions, the constant ping of notifications, the pressure to stay relevant, the overwhelming flood of opinions, trends, and voices shouting for our attention. People post their victories, their thoughts, their lives in real time, and suddenly it feels like everyone's moving forward except for you. But here's a powerful truth that could change the trajectory of your life. Noise doesn't equal progress. Just because everyone around you is moving, just because everyone is posting their success, doesn't mean they're actually growing. It's easy to mistake activity for productivity. But the truth is, progress comes from focus, not from being busy. If you want to grow, you've got to learn to tune out the noise. You have to learn to silence the distractions, the external pressures, and the constant pull of social validation. The world wants to get you caught up in what everyone else is doing, but the real work, the real growth happens when you can focus on what you need to do regardless of what's happening around you. And that requires discipline. It requires you to be so committed to your vision that you're willing to block out anything and everything that doesn't serve that vision. I've been through seasons in my life where I had to block out the world just to hear my own thoughts. I've been in places where I had to shut down the noise, not just the external noise, but the internal noise as well. The doubts, the fears, the insecurities, the opinions of others. It wasn't easy, in fact, it was uncomfortable. But when I made the decision to focus on what truly mattered, when I stopped chasing after every fleeting distraction, that's when my real growth began. It's easy to feel like you're not making progress when you're not seeing immediate results. But growth doesn't always come in the form of quick wins or overnight success. Real growth comes in the moments where you're putting in the work when no one's watching, when you're investing time in learning, in building, in improving yourself. Real progress is about stacking small victories every single day, not about chasing after the loudest thing that's in front of you. Think about the difference between someone who's always moving from one thing to the next, always jumping on the latest trend, always trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing, and someone who is focused on their long-term vision, working steadily and consistently toward it, even when it doesn't look like much is happening on the outside. One is caught up in the noise, while the other is making steady progress toward their goals. The one who stays focused on their purpose, who ignores the distractions, will outlast the one caught up in the frenzy. It's not about how fast you can move or how much noise you can make. It's about how focused you can stay on your own path. When you block out the noise, you create space for your mind to focus on the things that truly matter. You stop comparing yourself to others. Stop letting the opinions and actions of those around you dictate your worth or your timeline. You learn to trust your own process, to stay committed to your goals, even when it feels like everyone else is moving faster, louder, or in a different direction. The key to progress is not in how busy you are, but in how much focus you bring to what you're doing. If you can focus on the next step, the next move, the next decision that aligns with your vision, then the progress will come. And when it does, it won't just be a flash in the pan, it will be lasting, solid growth that's been built on the foundation of focus and intention. The loudest voices won't always lead you to where you want to go. The best progress is often made in the quiet spaces, in the moments when you're completely immersed in the work, when you're not looking for validation or recognition. The more you learn to tune out the noise, both internal and external, the more you create space for real growth. That growth will show up, not in the chaos of 100 competing voices, but in the steady, focused, intentional work you put in day after day. Build yourself quietly, grow deeply, rise powerfully. In a world that thrives on instant gratification and public validation, there's something incredibly powerful about choosing to build yourself in silence. We live in a time where the spotlight is addictive, where everyone wants to be seen, recognized, and celebrated in real time. But the truth is, if you truly want to become someone who is unstoppable, someone who creates real, lasting success, you have to learn to build in the quiet. You have to embrace the process, even when it seems like no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Building quietly is about focusing on the work, not the applause. It's about staying committed to your vision, even when the results aren't immediate. It's about going deeper in your journey, even when no one else sees the effort you're putting in. When you're focused on building yourself, you're not worried about the validation of others. You're not measuring your worth by how many likes, shares, or compliments you get. Instead, you're focused on creating something real, something that is strong, sustainable, and rooted in purpose. You're planting seeds in the quiet moments that will, over time, grow into something extraordinary. Most people want the results without doing the work. They want the trophy without the training. They want the spotlight without the sacrifice. But the truth is, the people who rise to the top and stay there don't do so by chasing attention. They do so by embracing the hard, often lonely work that others aren't willing to do. They show up day in and day out. Even when it's tough, even when it seems like no one cares, they build in the quiet. And because they've built so deeply, they rise powerfully when the time is right. They rise not because they were lucky or because the world gave them a break. They rise because they were prepared, because they did the work when no one else was willing to do it. When you focus on building yourself quietly, you create a strong foundation for your life. It's like the process of building a house. If you don't take the time to lay a solid foundation, the house might look nice at first, but it won't stand the test of time. It's the same with your life. If you don't take the time to build the right mindset, the right habits, the right skills, if you don't focus on developing your character, you won't be able to handle the pressure that comes with success. But when you build quietly, you create a foundation that can handle whatever comes your way. And when you rise with strength, stability, and endurance. Growing deeply means you're focused on what's happening inside of you. It means you're working on your mindset, your beliefs, your emotional resilience, your character. Real growth is not about quick fixes or surface level achievements. It's about going deep into who you are, facing the parts of yourself that need healing, improving your habits, learning from your mistakes, and becoming the person who can truly handle the success you're working toward. Deep growth takes time. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to confront the hard truths about yourself. But that's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it lasting. When you grow deeply, you develop the wisdom, the emotional intelligence, and the inner strength to navigate whatever challenges come your way. You become someone who doesn't just rise when things are easy, but someone who rises even in the face of adversity. And when you rise powerfully, you don't do so with arrogance or pride. You rise with humility, knowing that the strength you have is a result of the quiet work, the deep growth, and the lessons you've learned along the way. There's power in the quiet. There's power in the slow, steady progress that doesn't demand attention, but ultimately can't be ignored. When you choose to build yourself quietly, you're setting the stage for a rise that is unstoppable. You're preparing yourself for greatness that will stand the test of time. And when you finally step into the light, you won't just be someone who's experienced short-term success. You'll be someone who has built something solid, something real, something lasting. You'll be someone who rises with power, not because of luck or circumstance, but because of the deep work you've done in the quiet. The journey of building yourself quietly is not just about what you achieve, but about who you become. Often we're so focused on the destination, on the end goal, that we forget to pay attention to the transformation happening within us. But the truth is, the most valuable thing that comes from hard work and consistency is not the external success, it's the person you become in the process. The person you are today is the direct result of the decisions you've made up until this point. And if you want a different outcome tomorrow, you've got to be willing to change who you are today. When you're in the quiet, when no one's watching, you face yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You confront your fears, your doubts, your insecurities. You wrestle with the internal battles that often go unnoticed by the world, but this is the real work. It's easy to put on a facade for others, to pretend like you have everything together, but it's when you're alone in the silence that you truly see what's inside. And if you're willing to face that, if you're willing to work through the discomfort, you will come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. This process of self-building is not always glamorous. In fact, it's often messy. There are days when you feel like you're not making any progress, days when you question if it's even worth it. But this is where true growth happens. The people who succeed are not the ones who avoided struggle. They're the ones who faced it head on. They didn't let the hard moments break them. Instead, they allowed those moments to shape them. They learned from their failures, adapted to their challenges, and used every setback as a stepping stone towards something greater. The beauty of building yourself quietly is that it gives you time to cultivate a mindset that is rooted in persistence and resilience. You learn to trust the process, to stay committed to your vision even when the results are not immediate. You stop seeking external validation and start validating yourself from within. You stop comparing yourself to others and focus solely on your own journey. And in doing so, you develop a sense of confidence that comes not from what others think of you, but from what you know to be true about yourself. When you're not distracted by the noise, when you're not looking for the approval or recognition of others, you can focus on the things that truly matter. You can work on your character, your values, your emotional intelligence. You can invest in your personal development in ways that will pay off in the long run. And over time, the person you become, the person who can handle success with grace and integrity, is far more valuable than the fleeting moments of recognition that come from external achievements. We live in a world that often values instant gratification over delayed reward, where we are conditioned to want things quickly to measure our worth by external accomplishments. But the quiet work, the unseen work, is what sets you apart. It's what creates the lasting change, the deep transformation. It's what allows you to rise to the next level, not because of the accolades you've accumulated, but because of the inner strength you've developed. And this is the paradox. While the world celebrates the results, it's the quiet moments, the unseen work, the internal growth that actually creates lasting success. What the world doesn't see in the moment of your triumph is the foundation you've built. The hours spent honing your craft, the struggles you've overcome, the mental battles you've fought. It's the quiet strength that allows you to stay grounded, to keep moving forward, and to handle the pressure that success brings. Building yourself quietly is not a short-term endeavor. It's a lifelong journey. It's about committing to becoming the best version of yourself day after day, regardless of what the world sees. And while it may feel slow and uncertain at times, it's this process that creates the kind of success that is lasting and fulfilling. The person you are becoming is the most important thing you will ever build, because everything else flows from that. When you focus on building yourself, you are creating a life that is grounded in purpose, strength, and character, a life that will rise to the challenges of success and stand the test of time. The quiet moments, the ones when no one is cheering you on, are often the most significant because they are where the true transformation occurs. We live in a society that glorifies the spotlight, the recognition, the applause. Everyone is chasing the big break, the moment when all their hard work is finally acknowledged. But what people often forget is that real success doesn't come from one big moment. It's built in the quiet, behind the scenes, in the uncelebrated hours of effort that are unseen by the public eye. You see, success is not a one-time event. It's a culmination of small, consistent actions that add up over time. The quiet moments, the seemingly insignificant decisions you make when no one is watching, are the moments that build your future. They're the moments when you choose to show up when you don't feel like it, when you push through resistance, when you sacrifice comfort for progress. These moments are what shape your character and prepare you for the big opportunities that will come later. And the most powerful part of it all is that these moments are often the hardest ones because they require you to show up for yourself without the external validation that comes with success. There's an undeniable strength that comes from working in silence. It's in the stillness, when you're alone with your thoughts, when there's no one else around to offer encouragement, that you learn to rely on yourself. This is when you cultivate a belief in your own abilities, a belief that isn't dependent on what others think or whether they're watching. It's in those moments of quiet determination when no one else is paying attention that you're learning the discipline, the consistency, the focus that will carry you through the storms of life and business. But the beauty of working in silence is that it's the kind of work that builds an unshakable foundation. There's no external noise to distract you, no applause to inflate your ego, no competition to create pressure. It's just you and your goal. You're working from a place of internal motivation, not external validation. And because of that, the success you build from this quiet work is authentic. It's built on your own terms and it's sustainable. When the world sees you rise, when the world finally acknowledges your success, it won't be by chance. It will be because you've put in the work, often when no one else believed it would pay off. Think about the greats, the people who've achieved incredible success in any field. When you see them performing at the highest level, you don't see the countless hours of sacrifice, the moments of self-doubt, the late nights, the grinding work they did in the background. You don't see the failures they faced in silence before they finally found success. You only see the results. But those results were not created by a flash of brilliance or by luck. They were created by consistent, quiet, diligent work that laid the foundation for everything that came after. And this is why the quiet moments matter. It's easy to get distracted by the external noise, by the successes of others, by the opinions of friends or family, by the need for recognition. But if you're truly committed to your vision, to your growth, to your purpose, you'll learn to value the quiet. You'll learn to love the work even when it feels like nobody notices. And when that moment of recognition finally arrives, you won't be seeking it out for validation. You'll accept it humbly because you know that it was never about the applause. It was always about the process, about the growth, about becoming the person who could handle that level of success. The quiet moments teach you the most important lessons. They teach you discipline, patience, persistence, and resilience. They teach you to trust the process and to stay focused on your goals, even when it feels like nothing is happening. And while the world may not see your progress in real time, it will eventually see the results. But by then, you'll have developed a level of strength and character that's unshakable. The world will see your success, but it won't understand the quiet, uncelebrated moments that built it. And that's the beauty of it. Because success that is built quietly is success that is built to last. You've laid a foundation of hard work, dedication, and self-belief, and when the time is right, your rise will be inevitable. And when you stand at the top, you'll know that it wasn't the noise or the applause that got you there. It was the quiet, focused work that you put in when no one was watching.